You're listening to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations, everybody, for coming in just a little bit early. And a big old congratulations to Andrea Garcia in the YouTube chat for being first comment of the day. Now, just a little bit of warning for everybody today. I am on the road. I am moving around, but I am still connected via global internet infrastructure to do the show today. But you might notice a little bit of decreasing quality. You might notice a little bit of lag between Gons and I. This is Basil, by the way. But, just bear with us. We think we got all the kinks worked out, but we know you guys will understand. Now, remember, you're going to want to follow us in multiple locations. That includes youtube.com/canarycryradio, as well as twitch.tv/canarycryradio. And always remember, we're all over the place on DLIVE and Periscope or Twitter, whatever, wherever you can find us. Make sure to follow us there, because as we've seen, you never know when we're going to disappear from your favorite outlet. And of course, as always, remember to Fletcher, just so I talk. Remember to like and subscribe early on in the video here, and remember to stay hydrated. Very, very important, folks. Okay, I think it's about time to get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 2nd, 2021. This is episode 319, and today, NEWSOM CIRCUS NEWSPEAK. And you know me, I'm no clown, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And I'm not a googly-eyed PNG file on the screen, but in fact, I am your Asian American millennial podcasting friend. My name is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And Basil, you are not in your normal location, and that is making it difficult for you to speak clearly and on time.
Yes, on time.
Oh, no, the delay is so bad.
Once in a while, I will start roaming the earth, and that's what I'm doing this week, but we are making it work. Unfortunately, there is no internet like your home internet, so things are a little bit and it's going to be just a slightly shorter show, but we're going to just try our best. We gotta accomplish the mission.
Yeah, it's going to do that Skype thing, at least for the live listeners, where you talk, you hear lag, and then Skype tries to catch you up, so you start talking really, really fast like Ben Shapiro. So, we'll see. It'll be fun.
Ooh. Yeah. All right. I'm going to have to close some tabs here, try to save that bandwidth, baby. So, before we get started, anything interesting going on in your life over there, Gons?
Nope, not really. Just life carrying on this Good Friday.
Yeah, just on the back nine of the apocalypse. I get it. Yeah, nothing too exciting here. I did, let's see, what's fun? I don't know. I saw some frogs yesterday. That was fun.
Oh, that's good. Were they the spirit frogs that are in the false prophet and the beast and the dragon?
There's spirit frogs in the in the prophecies?
Yeah. How do you not know about this?
Oh, like a plague?
No.
A plague of some kind? No. I don't know. It's not ringing any bells. What's the frog thing?
Oh, come on. You're showing your lack of knowledge. It is,
please. You say spirit frogs, and I'm supposed to
Yes,
know what
you
you're
are.
talking about?
Revelation 16:13, and I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs. You got Bible owned.
I don't know if I've ever really registered the frog connection. You know, it is weird. I have noticed Gen Z, these guys love frogs. They love memeing about frogs. They it's a whole thing.
They're
Okay, so we figured it
frogs.
out. So it is written, so it shall be.
Yeah. This delay is going to be fun.
Still licking frogs.
I didn't even hear what you said.
It's like we're having 2 separate conversations.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
Okay.
All I heard was frogs.
Okay. All right. Well, we better get into the stories here because this is going to be a crazy ride, everybody. Let's start out with that Flippy update.
Like, subscribe, button.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yes, and of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the algorithms will share this insane roller coaster ride of a podcast with unsuspecting victims on the internet. Okay, this Flippy update is coming from news.nt.edu, and the headline reads, "A robot that senses hidden objects." Ooh, hidden objects. And for those who don't know, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms who are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world. That senses hidden objects we can do about it.
Sorry,
oh, gosh.
The Twitter producer media studio is one of the worst, the worst workflow things ever. It just, you start a live stream on Twitter, it doesn't tweet out onto your Twitter thing. You have to like do it separately, and it's just awful. It's horrible. Bad job, Twitter. Jack, get with it. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. You know, the chat is saying that my audio is just full on going in and out. We apologize. There's nothing we can do about it. We've done the maximum amount of troubleshooting or guardianship of the signal as we can. Unfortunately, folks, it's just going to be what it is. But I will say, if you have too much trouble with this live stream, remember, we are going to post the podcast version later today, and it's going to be much, much higher quality. We used my locally recorded audio, so we're not relying on this spotty signal. So another great reason to go to your favorite podcast player and subscribe to Canary Cry News Talk. Okay. But back to the Flippy update from MIT.edu. A robot that senses hidden objects. And it goes like this. In recent years, robots have gained artificial vision, touch, and even smell. Quote, researchers have been giving robots human-like perception, says MIT Associate Professor Fadel Adib. In a new paper, Adib's team is pushing the technology a step further. Quote, we are trying to give robots superhuman perception, he says. The researchers have developed a robot that uses radio would pass through occluded objects. The robot, called RF Grasp, combines this powerful sensing with more traditional computer vision to locate and grasp items that might otherwise be blocked from view. The advance could streamline e-commerce fulfillment in warehouses. Oh, there's those warehouses again. Or help a machine pluck a screwdriver from a jumbled toolkit. The research will be presented in May at the IEEE International Conference on Robotics and Automation. The people's lead author is Tara Barushaki, assistant in the Signal Kinetics group at the MIT Media Lab. Her MIT co-authors include Adib, who is the director of the Signal Kinetics group, and Alberto Rodriguez, the class of 1957 associate professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Other co-authors include yada, yada, yada. We know who the co-authors are. As e-commerce continues to grow, actually the domain of humans, not robots, despite sometimes dangerous working conditions. Now, remember, if you caught last episode where we tracked almost the full conversion of warehouse work over to robots and the elimination of human warehouse workers, this is along those lines. The article continues. That's in part because robots struggle to locate and grasp objects in such a crowded environment. Quote, perception and picking are two roadblocks in that industry today, says Rodriguez. Using optical vision alone, robots can't perceive the presence of an item packed away in a box or hidden behind another object on the shelf. Visible light waves, of course, don't pass through what? Oh my gosh. But radio waves can. And here's the kicker, Guns. For decades, radio frequency identification has been used to track everything from library books to pets. RF identification systems have two main components, a reader and a tag. The tag is a tiny computer chip that gets attached to or injected into, in the case of pets, implanted in pets or vaccinated individuals, of course, the item to be tracked. The reader then emits a radio frequency signal, which gets modulated by the tag and reflected back to the reader. The reflected signal provides information about the location and identity of the tagged item. The technology has gained popularity in retail supply chains. Japan aims to use RF tracking for nearly all retail purchases in a matter of years. The researchers realized this profusion of RF could be a boon for robots, giving them another mode of perception. Quote, RF is such a different sensing modality than vision, says Rodriguez. It would be a mistake not to explore what radio frequency can do. RF grasp uses both a camera and an RF reader to find and grab tagged objects even when they're fully blocked from the camera's view. It consists of a robotic arm attached to the grasping hand. The camera sits on the robot's wrist. The RF reader stands independent of the robot and relays tracking information to the robot's control algorithm. So the robot is constantly collecting both RF tracking data and a visual picture of its surroundings. Integrating these two data streams into the robot's decision-making was one of the biggest challenges the researchers faced. And, I'm going to skip a little bit here, but the robot initiates a seek and pluck process by pinging the target's object's RF tag for a sense of its whereabouts. Quote, it starts by using RF to focus the attention of vision, says Adib. Then you use vision to navigate fine maneuvers. The sequence is akin to hearing a siren from behind and then turning to look to get a clear picture of the siren's source. And I think that's it. To go to how this will help in warehouse situations. But, Gons, I think it's interesting how they are, I've mentioned in the past, I grew up in the church and, especially growing up in churches that are aware of end times prophecy and things like that. And RFID chips have been like the main target of, Mark of the Beast speculation for at least 30 years, which is kind of funny now because it's a little bit of an outdated technology. There's plenty of other ways and I don't know, possible Mark of the Beast objects to be used. But considering the crazy conspiracy theory that there's RFID chips in vaccines, things like that. Of course, your pets get them. And forget about the crazy conspiracy theories. There's companies all over the world, these corporations offering RFID readers to their employees for better access to, locked doors and vending machines, things like that. It's a pretty common practice. And of course, I think all credit cards now have RFID capabilities. And, you're always wondering, well, why do I care if they're tracking us? Oh, they're already tracking me with my phone. The difference is you can ditch your phone. But, if you're tagged with one of these handy dandy RFID chips, Flippy, our beloved burger flipping robot will now be able to find you, even if you're hiding in, maybe a vat of deep fry oil or something. Just another way for the robots to track us down and inevitably harvest our energy to fuel their robotic empire.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I saw this story and I kind of ran through it, and it made me wonder why, or I guess how unrealistic so much of science fiction is. Because have you ever seen those like alien movies or robot movies, and they're invading some city or some town or whatever, and they're scanning, and there's like little kids hiding behind a table or a rock or something, and they're all scared and they're shivering.
Yeah, right.
If an RFID chip is able to know that there's an object that is obfuscated and figure out where it is and whatnot, for sure those technologies that are invading human civilization would be able to tell, like, oh, there's a little kid behind that rock right there, blow up rock, It's just, I don't know. It just made me think of how awful the science fiction, or how unrealistic because usually it's very advanced alien civilization coming down. And it's just it doesn't make any sense that
Right.
they wouldn't be able to find you hiding in under a table or behind a rock or something. But
you hear that, science fiction Hollywood producers? You just got owned by Gons.
yeah, that's get your science fiction, get your science right. Science is truth, remember?
Yeah.
Science is truth.
Yeah, well, that's another fun way how the reality of the robot overlords and the subsequent robotic takeover of the Earth is, a little bit more intense than we've been trained with our predictive programming. But there you go. There's the Flippy update for the day.
Cool. And I actually, a lot of people are mentioning the Godzilla versus Kong movie. I have to watch it. I'll probably watch it this weekend. But the people are mentioning like Hollow Earth is in there. There's like cyborg stuff in there. So we'll check it out. We'll come back with a report next week on it. Speaking of cyborgs, we got a couple cyborg stories here.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
And this first story comes from thesun.co.uk. I tried to share a video clip of it on Twitter, but for some reason the audio didn't come through. The headline, I'm still alive. Holly Willoughby fights back tears as human cyborg says he has, quote, hope and dreams after becoming a machine saved his life. And this is,
wow.
It's the guy who... we've reported on this guy who has surgery in his brain to put a microchip in there and all this stuff. But here's the report here.
What's the best thing about these last 4 years for you?
In short, as a transitioning cyborg, my overall quality of life is exceptional.
Okay, before we go on, for those of you just listening, what you're seeing on the screen is the guy, let me get his name, Dr. Peter Scott Morgan. That's right. And you see Dr. Peter Scott Morgan in his little chair. I think he's got some kind of degenerative disease. And that's why he decided to get that surgery for the microchip in his brain. So he's sitting there. He's got his devices all hooked up to him. There's another gentleman to his left, which he references in this clip. And then to the left side of the screen, there's a CGI version of himself talking and answering the question. So that's that's the image of what is, who's speaking on behalf of the guy.
I forgot
here.
about this guy. This is pretty intense.
Yeah, so here he is. He's going to continue on here.
I have love. I have fun. I have hope. I have dreams. I have purpose. Oh, and did I mention I'm still alive? I mean, really alive. Not just one of the living dead, not just surviving, thriving. So when you ask what is the best thing of the last 4 years, not being dead is right up there, as is the extraordinary kindness of total strangers. But the very best thing, obviously, he's sitting next to me.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I mean,
my
what an amazing step forward for you that you're pioneering here, but for everyone else. This and to hear you talk about life like that is truly invigorating. Thank you both. Thank you so much. What's the...
Okay, so that's the clip, and the sun.co.uk, the video player is just awful. But here's the thing that I came away with this clip. It just looks like a glorified version.
Okay, because I was
go away. It looks like a glorified version of what Stephen Hawking had. He had that talking thing where
right.
he can talk to you even though he can't move and speak and whatever. Except he just has a CGI head to kind of do it for him. So that was my takeaway. I'm like, is this really Cyborg, or is this just kind of glorified, 2021 version of Stephen Hawking?
So is he able to speak using a brain implant? Is this like a machine, a brain machine interface situation?
I think
that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I if I'm not mistaken, he did have to take the microchip out to survive. So I don't know what capacity he is considered a cyborg now, but I do think that this was a predetermined question. I don't think he was just asked on the spot, like, hey, what is it like? And then he had this real-time answer.
Interfacing.
So because he kind of went on, and the host didn't interject when there were pauses. He kind of just let him speak. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
that is interesting, especially in the PR situation of the cyborgism, especially, again, with the medical purposes of things like this, which is how it always starts. There's, look, I hope this guy's thriving and is happy and is feeling good about himself. But it's hard to imagine that there wouldn't be some sort of pre-programmed situation in an interview like this.
Even Stephen Hawking, didn't it take him a while to answer questions, like live in real time? He had to sit there for a while and do his little, type it all out before the little, the speaking thing can work. The other part of the story,
and sometimes they would pre-program Stephen Hawking's answers as well. So,
right.
It's a standard practice with these sorts of things, but you got to show off the tech, man.
Yep, and birminghammail.co.uk had this headline, about the same story. This morning's the name of the show. This morning in hot water with viewers over human cyborg interview. And it says here, this morning has come under fire from viewers after airing a human cyborg segment on April 1st. Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield were at the helm of the show on Thursday as they welcomed a human cyborg onto the show via video link. But the interview was met with controversy as some were unsure whether the segment and interview was an April Fool's Day prank to mark April 1st.
The timing.
No. Holly asked, quote, how important was it for you to be able to find a way to communicate with your personality and emotions? Quote, absolutely vital, replied the human cyborg, but viewers took to Twitter to have their say. One wrote, at this morning, you chose the wrong day to do the human cyborg segment. There are some people who thought it was some sort of April Fool's joke. A second commented, if this human cyborg on at this morning is an April Fool, it's on the way in very bad taste. So,
just a real quick thing to point out in the language. They called him a human cyborg. Mm-hmm. Now, the definition of cyborg, I believe, already includes some sort of human element. It's sort of the combination of human and machine. Is sort of at least the colloquial definition of cyborg. Yeah. So to call it a human cyborg is kind of, I don't know, just sort of an extra bit of humanization, which is fine. The guy is technically still human. But, when you pay attention to the language like that, they're trying real hard to personalize this guy.
Yeah, and the April Fool's thing is not a good move by them. But, in my mind and in the minds of many people, a cyborg is something that enhances humanity, not just brings them back to par. This sort of thing, again, I just make the analogy back to Stephen Hawking. You know, he's crippled, he can't move, he can't speak, so he's using technology to communicate. That's, you know, that's it.
Right.
It does bring up philosophical questions about, like, okay, what are we? Who are we? Are we just a brain? Are we, you know, that kind of stuff. But this next story is a little bit more in tune with
actually.
What?
Real quick, sorry to interrupt. Gosh, this lag is killing me.
This lag is horrible.
But yeah, I did want to actually mention as well. I forgot to mention at the top of the show. Those who are in the know that I am usually doing this show in a virtual reality helmet in my virtual reality office, and I've gotten kind of used to it over the years. It helps me focus, and when I am traveling, I don't have the VR goggles, which makes it extremely difficult to focus when there's things going on around me.
Yeah, that's fine.
You dive and experiment into the.
I was going to say, you've done podcasting with the train chasing after you. If you, the really long-term listeners, remember back 2013, 2014, somewhere around there, we were doing a show, and he had to get up because a train was coming down the train track or something, and it's just like,
I was stealing some Wi-Fi from hiding in the back of a grocery store or something, stealing their Wi-Fi, and it was right next to train tracks. It made for a very exciting podcast segment when a train came by. But so I wanted to mention that about the VR helmet, because I'm going to take this next story, Gons.
Yep.
Which is from yahoo.com, and the headline is Microsoft wins Army contract to manufacture 120,000 augmented reality headsets. So this is another step into the specifically the militarization of VR, and more specifically AR, augmented reality, which mixes the real world with virtual details. Let's see what it has to say. Microsoft on Wednesday, and of course it's Microsoft, great. Microsoft on Wednesday was selected to manufacture 120,000 HoloLens augmented reality helmets for the U.S. Army as part contract that could be worth up to 21.88 billion. Whoa, billion. Holy
billions
smokes,
and
this
billions
is a big
and
one.
billions.
Why it matters.
Yeah,
21 billion is a crazy
There's a story
contract.
breaking. Just sorry to interrupt. There's a story breaking that we'll get to right after you're done with this. It's pretty insane. But go ahead.
Okay, great. Why it matters. Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and Google are all delving into augmented reality glasses in different ways, but the technology is likely still a few years off for mainstream consumers. Axios's chief technology correspondent, Ina Fried, writes, details. The Army hardware is called the Integrated Visual Augmentation System, or IVA. The Army press release notes that IVAS will allow multiple technologies into an architecture that allows the soldier to fight, rehearse, and train using a single platform. Microsoft said in its own press release that the company has worked closely with the U.S. Army over the past 2 years, and together we pioneered soldier-centered design to enable rapid prototyping for a product to provide soldiers with the tools and capabilities necessary to achieve their mission. It's a large deal, both in terms of the money it will bring in and in giving Microsoft the confidence to invest more heavily in mixed reality headsets. Mixed reality, interesting term. It also further demonstrates that augmented reality is indeed the future, per Fried. So there you go. We're finally getting these fancy schmancy tech headsets over to 120,000 soldiers. That is a lot of soldiers to be equipped with this AR technology.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're going to start hearing the mixed reality more, because we obviously have VR, virtual reality. This is AR, augmented reality, and XR is mixed reality. So I think we're going to hear the mixed reality, XR, as part of the vernacular.
And the
more
language. the language of mixed reality is an interesting one because, of course, augmented reality just means, you're basically seeing the world around you, but then little digital pop-ups and data readouts and things, it's like an enhanced experience on regular reality. But mixed reality sort of has this, it just has this connotation of like, accepting the digital realm as an equally legit reality, which I think is closer to the truth. When we were kids, Gons, the internet wasn't considered reality. The internet is just a fake world that is not important and things like that. And of course, now with everything we've gone through, the internet is reality. Things that happen on the internet do, impact the real world. But this concept of mixed reality, where it's not just like, oh, it's reality with a little bit of digital fun. It's like, no, combining both of the real realities, the digital and the meat space, it's a paradigm shift in language, really. That's I think a little bit more consequential than someone who might not think about it too hard.
Yeah, and it reminds me of a very famous Dragon Ball scene that became a meme. And this is the first time, I understood what mixed reality was. And it's a scene where in Dragon Ball, Vegeta has his scouter on his eye, and he's reading the power of Goku, and he goes, 9,000, it's over 9,000, and he crushes it.
Over 9,000!
Yeah, so that's your augmented reality right there. But yeah, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of soldiers getting like real-time data of their surroundings in more than just their own brain. It's data coming at them with whatever, all kinds of augmentations and stuff. But I do want to we need a breaking news jingle, just like a how the news people do. Yeah. But this is just breaking right now. This is from the Capitol. Car rams 2 officers at Capitol barricade. Driver shot dead. Oh my gosh. Yeah, a man rammed a car into 2 Capitol officers or police officers at a barricade outside the U.S. Capitol on Friday afternoon before being shot to death by authorities when he got out of the vehicle while holding what appeared to be a knife, 2 law enforcement officials told the Associated Press. Both Capitol police officers were taken to the hospital. Yeah, knife. With at least 1 in serious condition, the official said the suspect died at a hospital. The crash and shooting happened at a security checkpoint near the Capitol as Congress is on recess. It comes as the Washington region remains on edge nearly 3 months after a mob of armed insurrectionists stormed the Capitol as Congress was voting to certify Joe Biden's blah, 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 blah. And then it goes into the riot stuff, or the insurrection stuff.
Yeah.
This
is interesting. The knife thing, this is obviously suicide by cop is what this is. Have they, from what you've seen, has this already been pinned on white supremacist, domestic terrorist extremism?
I haven't looked enough to know. I'm sure they'll push out the narrative as soon as it fits or doesn't fit their agenda. But to me, it doesn't even matter. I think it's just they needed a real threat. And they needed another threat event to justify all that caging and the lockdown of the Capitol. Well, what else would it be? It would be
especially with all the pushback that we've been seeing from the residents of Washington. Of course, the comparisons between, putting up a border wall on the southern border versus putting up a giant wall around the Capitol building, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot to compare there. But yeah, the fact that this was a guy trying to ram his car through the barricade and coming out with a knife, he obviously was not prepared to actually have some sort of effective assault. I'm pretty confident in calling this right now. This is a suicide by cop situation. There's no way this guy was thinking he was going to actually impact anything. But of course, it kind of kind of rings of like an MK Ultra triggering, because it is such a crazy, I mean, just pitiful attempt, but it is the symbol of a threat still existing to federal buildings up there in Washington, D.C. Certainly this is going to be caused to keep the walls up around the Capitol, keep it militarized, keep it a militarized zone. And, look, I don't want to jump ahead of anything. I don't know who this was. I'm almost positive, like we saw in the last shooting, where it was a Syrian-born Muslim man, and still they found ways to call it white extremism. I think the last term was, yes, he was a Muslim immigrant, but he had white morality.
Right.
Caused him to do what he did.
Yeah, they're
showing the knife thing. The car and the knife thing is reminiscent of what you hear about in the UK, where some immigrant goes on a knife rampage. But I'm sure this will be tied back to white morality.
Yeah, let's see. Let's just check in on CBSN Live to see. They're showing footage of the car.
Oh, I was just going to say, not only devastating for the police force, but also for the people who the police force is protecting, i.e. representatives of our federal government. This must just be a devastating blow for everyone on Capitol Hill to lose a Capitol police officer, because there are some close relationships, right, that are formed between the officers and the people who work in the building.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single.
Go ahead.
The attempt to connect this again back to the poor lawmakers is making it about the politicians.
I know.
This is so crazy. These poor politicians. It was the Capitol police officer who died. Why aren't we talking about the police force? Well, because you can't humanize the police force, of course. But it, again, kind of reminiscent of the January 6th event, where it was, these poor politicians, they thought they were safe, and now they live in fear.
Right. They send people to war. Their policies kill countless people indirectly. But when there's a direct threat, it's, they must be so afraid. But if you militarize a part of the Capitol, what do you expect? You're inviting violence, even if you're not thinking in terms of a staged, kind of event. You're inviting a kind of violence there.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. This guy, what if the police weren't there, and the walls and the gates weren't there, and the barricades weren't there? What they want us to think is that he would have rammed his car up the stairs into the Capitol building and started swinging. But no, of course, this is another example where the military presence and the very presence of the barricade attracted someone to go at it. And that's it's the history of American military sort of colonialism around the world, where it inspires more violence than it actually stops. Or I don't know about more, but it does inspire violence, just its very existence.
Right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. If anything else breaks about it, we'll try to deliver it to you. In the meantime, let's get back to our normally scheduled programming, which are 33 updates.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
Just got a couple here to run through. First off, the centersquare.com. New Jersey hands out $30.1 million for 33 trucking safety projects. Yeah, not 32, not 34, but 33 trucking safety projects. The Illuminati handlers coming after the truckers.
Trucking company.
Yeah. And then next up here, Hall of Fame coach Roy Williams retiring after 33 years. You ever watch some Tar Heels basketball, Basil?
No, I didn't think so. Know what that is.
It's North Carolina. They're the Tar Heels, and Roy Williams was a well-known coach there. He got his I don't know, black coin from the Masons or whatever. He's like, time for you to retire, my man. So 33 years, he's done.
His black coin.
Yeah, his Illuminati coin, his all-seeing eye coin.
Yeah. Okay.
And lastly, on the last episode of Canary Cry News Talk, Leviathan Birth Earth aborted feces, Kamala Cackle Biden's beasts. The episode on the live stream ran for 3 hours and 33 minutes. And people...
Oh, you're 33.
People were just freaking out. They were like, oh my gosh, 3 hours and 33 minutes. And it says 8 seconds here. I think the original was 9 seconds. So it even adds another layer of, time.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
we gave ourselves away.
Yeah, we timed the episode perfectly to signal to our handlers that we are compliant to your demands.
Yeah, not that perfectly, though. I mean, if we were really trying, we would have gone for 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds.
Yeah, that's why we don't get the big check from them.
A failed attempt at signaling our Illuminati handlers.
Yeah, that's why we fail them. We don't get the big check from them because we're not perfect in their eyes.
We're the ugly ducklings of the Illuminati Project Mockingbird.
Black sheep. Oh, these guys, they can't get anything right. All right. Well, we got some WACCINE updates here.
Yeah.
I have a quick headline to mention to start us off. It's not in our notes, Basil, but I had to include it. This is LA Times headline: California rushed to vaccinate poor people. What about transgender people?
Oh my God!
Come on, California!
What about them?
You horrible people vaccinating poor people before trans people. What is wrong with our state?
Yeah, what a fun stretch. It's the battle of the victims, is what it is.
Oh, totally.
Who's more victimized? Yeah. Well, that's funny. All right. Well, let's go to a story over here at WTSP.com. It's channel 10 in Tampa Bay. And the headline reads, Court orders Belgium to end COVID-19 measures due to insufficient legal standing.
Yay.
Huh. Okay, Belgium. Let's see what's going on. The Belgian state should either lift all coronavirus measures within 30 days or frame them properly as law, a Brussels court ruled Wednesday. The ruling came in a lawsuit brought by the Belgian League of Human Rights, a nonprofit organization which has repeatedly called on the government to stop using ministerial decrees to implement infection prevention measures without lawmakers' consent. I'm assuming ministerial decrees are kind of like executive orders. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay. Interior Minister Annelies Verlinden said the government would appeal the ruling and that Belgium's current coronavirus restrictions, which include a nighttime curfew, a beautiful, reference to the Nazi curfew, a ban on non-essential international travel, and other measures to control infections remain in effect. Explaining the decision to appeal, the Interior Ministry said in a statement that the country's highest administrative court previously ruled that, quote, the current legal basis is indeed sufficient as a legal basis for a ministerial order. The court in Brussels said the Belgian state would have to pay fines of 5,000 euros per day. I'm not really sure what the Belgian state's budget is, but 5,000 euros a day seems doable if it doesn't abide by the ruling within 30 days. Prime Minister Alexander De Croo government has been working on a so-called pandemic law that was debated with lawmakers on Wednesday. Quote, we believe that in view of the restrictions on fundamental freedoms imposed to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, a debate in Parliament was essential, the Belgian League of Human Rights says. While restrictions on these rights and freedoms may, of course, be made, given the importance of the issue, at stake and the need to protect the rights to life and health of individuals, they must be fair and proportionate. Belgium is among several countries that the European Union's Executive Commission has been criticized for their restrictions on non-essential travel. The European Union said such measures could undermine the 27-member bloc's principle of free movement and trade. Belgium, a population of 11.5 million, has reported over 876,000 confirmed coronavirus cases and almost 23,000 virus-related deaths. Hospitalizations due to COVID-19 have risen consistently in recent weeks, and the country's health authorities, blah, blah. Blah, blah. So there you go. Now, this can go a couple of ways. This is, for those in the U.S., this is similar to like Cuomo or Newsom handing down governor's orders and having them sort of followed to the T in a sort of authoritarian way. And, of course, similar to Biden's executive orders on coronavirus restrictions, where they're not necessarily written into law, they're just sort of proclaimed and then enforced. So interesting, the court in Belgium saw that as a legit reason to oppose those things. Now, I could see the risk in this being that, okay, your ministerial, what do they call them? Ministerial decrees, yes, are over with. You've had them for a year or whatever, and now they can't just stand as decrees. But within 30 days, you either got to get rid of them or sign them officially into law. And I am a little worried for the Belgians and also anybody in this similar situation where, once restrictions are actually written all the way into law, it does make them harder to lift in the end.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good first step, though. At least they're saying there's no actual legal basis to have any of it. And that's some progress. But yeah, like you said.
Yeah, it is interesting. There is value just in like them admitting that
right. That's not happening.
Ministerial decrees aren't the best way to go.
It's not happening in some of the states out here in California. And just to wrap up this story, unless you have something else to say about it, you got anything else on this? Thoughts, opinions?
Nope. I think the rest speaks for itself.
Okay. Well, I will say that I'm happy to play this jingle and have it reference a story.
Everybody loves waffles.
Belgian waffles.
Wow, good. You don't get quality programming like this on just any podcast, folks. No. Connecting the dots.
The Ben Shapiro advertising dots. This next one here, NPR.org. Johnson & Johnson reports vaccine batch ruined at Baltimore factory. It says here, a batch of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines failed quality standards and can't be used, the drug giant said late Wednesday. The drug maker didn't say how many doses were lost, and it wasn't clear how the problem would impact future deliveries. A vaccine ingredient made by Emergent Biosolutions, one of about 10 companies that Johnson & Johnson is using to speed up manufacturing of its recently approved vaccine, did not meet quality standards, J&J said. J&J said the Emergent Biosolutions factory involved had not yet been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to make part of the vaccine. I'm very keen on the words they use here, because right now all vaccines are authorized for use, emergency use authorization. None of them are approved.
Right.
You'd be very specific. So the fact that they're like, well, the FDA hadn't approved any of it. Well, yeah, even your vaccine isn't approved, J&J. So I don't know what you're trying to say here. Emergent, which has been producing bulk drug substances or substance at one of its factories in Baltimore declined to comment. Oh, yay. J&J had pledged to provide 20 million doses of its vaccine to the U.S. government by the end of March and 80 million more doses by the end of May. Its statement on the manufacturing problem said it was still planning to deliver 100 million doses by the end of June and was, quote, aiming to deliver those doses by the end of May. President Biden has pledged to have enough vaccines for all U.S. adults by the end of May. And blah, blah, blah. The rest of it we all know. But yeah, you know, it's at least there are some... I don't know. But at the same time, I'm wondering if this is once again sabotage from the mighty Pfizer coming in, messing up the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, a whole batch going bad. It does kind of have a tinge of espionage to it, doesn't it?
It does. It certainly does.
Much less the reporting of the issue, but to actually have a whole factory's batch to go bad, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know, maybe a new employee, a very suspicious new employee come in and work on the manufacturing line and accidentally spill ham sandwich into vat of Johnson & Johnson.
Are you trying to suggest the Russians are involved?
The Russians are always guns, you know. That's what we learned from the Steele dossier.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. The president...
I'm just doing my good...
goes potty on people. Yes, it's a whole thing.
Doing my job as a good American reporter.
Yeah. Well...
No, I don't think the Russians had anything to do with it, but I did need a reason to do my Russian accent.
Oh man, your connection is so bad. It is so painful to listen to you sometimes.
Oh no,
It's
sorry.
okay.
I have I opened up our news story and there's a bunch of like a bunch of videos. There's like 3 videos that are trying to play on this story, so I think that may have caused a problem. But are you ready for another?
Let's do it. Let's keep it going.
Oh my gosh. A pandemic special. Here we go. We're keeping moving. This is from king5.com. The headline is End This Pandemic. Pfizer says COVID-19 vaccine protections last at least 6 months.
6 months.
Oh, good.
6 months, folks. Get the really painful needle in your arm twice. So you're protected for 6 months.
Gotta get your subscription. Pay your subscription fee so you can get your shot every 6 months. The article reads like this: Pfizer and BioNTech on Thursday announced, it was an announcement, it announced its COVID-19 vaccine is 91% effective for up to at least 6 months after getting a second dose, citing updated trial. Chairman and CEO Albert Bourla said the recent data, quote, confirm the favorable efficacy and safety profile of our vaccine and can permit the company to apply for full approval. U.S. Food and Drug. Currently, the vaccine only has emergency authorization use, which was issued in December of 2020. The company said its newest data confirms that the mRNA vaccine is 95.3% effective against severe COVID-19 as defined by the FDA and 100% effective against what the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention defines as severe disease. Throughout the study of the vaccine safety, there have been more than 44,000 participants in total. The company said 12,000 participants have followed up after their second dose to assure that the vaccine is effective for up to 6 months. So that's an important detail there. They brag, about the 44,000 participants in the trial, but only 12,000 participants have followed up. So technically the trial is only 12,000 people. I mean, you can't count participants that haven't followed up. That's not an effective way to run a study. But the study also found that the vaccine was 100% effective against the variant that was first discovered in South Africa. However, the study into the B1351 variant only involved 800 participants. So this all we're so worried about the variants, specifically the South African variants, which I don't know why you're not allowed to say Wuhan in connection to COVID, but you can blame South Africa for the variant. Anywho, these variants were supposed to be so deadly and so scary and be the cause for further lockdowns, and yet the vaccine is 10% more effective on the variant than it is now. This is allegedly, of course. The article continues, quote, "It is an important step to further confirm the strong efficacy and good safety data we have seen so far, especially in a longer-term follow-up," said Uğur Şahin, CEO and co-founder of BioNTech, in a statement. Quote, "These data also provide clinical results that a vaccine can effectively protect against currently circulating variants, a critical factor to reach herd immunity and end this pandemic for the global population." In a joint statement, Pfizer and BioNTech said that the efficacy of the vaccine study was generally consistent across age, gender, race, ethnicity, demographics, and across participants with a variety of underlying conditions. The company said they plan to submit their data for a scientific blah, 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 blah. They're going to do a paper. But yeah, it goes into some more numbers, but the big part of this conversation is notice how there's no negative representation of the immunity only lasting 6. There's no, it's like, oh, it only lasts 6 months. You're gonna need to get another shot in 6 months. You're gonna need your booster. They don't even bother referring to it because this is a positive thing. You're protected for 6 months, and it's all good. We're gonna end the pandemic. Meanwhile, allegedly, most other vaccines, you're pretty much set. You get them when you're a baby, and you'll never get polio again. Why suddenly is this the one that's only lasting 6 months?
I'm starting to think that a lot of that new agey stuff that you heard over the last few years, be in the moment. Just be in the moment. It was a way to control everybody to not pay attention to the past, not pay attention to the future, and just focus on right now. It's really convenient for false news
that's very
information.
Interesting.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to...
don't worry about the future. Why would you worry about 6 months from now?
Right.
Just live for the now.
Just live now. You're missing out on the now, man. Come on, man. Oh, where's my come on, man?
Come on, man.
Come on, man. It's all about the now. The other thing I wanted to point out here in this article, it talks about how Pfizer is seeking full approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Yeah. This is important to point out, because not just for the reasons we just pointed out, the difference between authorized and approved, but also because if like the CDC says, hey, we're officially out of the pandemic, we're done, we're not in pandemic territory anymore, even though they changed the definition in 2010. These vaccines that are under emergency authorization use, they no longer are allowed to be sold or used unless they are approved. So right now, because we're in a pandemic, they're being distributed and used under the emergency authorization use. But if we come out of the pandemic, the vaccines will not be allowed to be distributed unless they are approved. So that's an important thing to realize, and the reason why they're like,
right.
So that's why they're going, we're applying for full approval because hey, if this thing, if we're coming out of a pandemic, we want to make sure we can still sell these vaccines.
Yeah, that is a very interesting point, and it's also got kind of a get them now while they're free because you'll have to pay for them later type of feel, that classic American capitalism, sorry, and I'm interrupting myself now, but combine that with the concept of, supply and demand type of thing.
Right.
The urgency, get it now before Get your buy one, get one free before it's over. Rush. Go to Macy's. Come on.
Yeah, make sure to get those
aborted feces.
Not sure what.
I like your late reaction.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the delay because it takes, like, after I play the jingle or something, I just have to sit there and wait for you to hear it. It's riveting.
Yeah, no, this is a great, for those who might, if anybody ever thinks that we move too fast on this show, we're really leaving some dramatic pauses for things to really sink in.
Yeah. Moving on here, there's a
just to let you know too, the pause is a very similar experience on my end. I'll stop talking and then it's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to respond to you in real time, but it's not working too well. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're not saying. Well, okay.
It's fun. It's like we're in 2002 again.
Yeah. Wherever you are, the internet must just be horrible. I mean, where's the Starlink? Where's the Facebook Connected 2020? Where's all that stuff? I thought we're supposed to have lightning fast internet by now. Where's the 5G? Come on, man.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Yeah, come on. I need my 5G implant.
This is a story from.
All right, let's
the
keep moving.
New York Times. I'm already ahead. Biden administration announces ad campaign to combat vaccine hesitancy. We talk about how, advertisements is a form of censorship. And, man, how about it? Biden administration announces ad campaign to combat vaccine hesitancy. It says here, the Biden administration on Thursday morning announced an ambitious advertising campaign intended to encourage as many Americans as possible to be vaccinated against the coronavirus. The campaign, with ads in English and Spanish that will air throughout April on network TV and cable channels nationwide, as well as online, comes as the administration is rapidly expanding access to coronavirus vaccines, but skepticism about the vaccines also remains high. Why only English and Spanish? Why not all Asian languages? This is racist against Asians.
Yeah.
President
that's
Biden.
your anti-Asian American Pacific Islander.
Yeah, hashtag Stop Asian Hate, Biden. President Biden announced last week a new goal of administering 20 million doses by his 100th day in office, doubling his initial goal of 100 million shots in the arms of Americans that he set when he was inaugurated. And last month, in an address to the nation, he announced a goal of making all adults in the U.S. eligible for a vaccine by May 1st, Illuminati Day. May Day. Governors and public health officials in more than 40 states have said that they will meet or beat that deadline. But deep skepticism about the vaccine remains a problem, particularly among black people, Latinos, Republicans, and white evangelicals. It's quite the group they got there. This is I feel like they're expanding it beyond just the white nationalists, white evangelicals. Now they're bringing in Republicans, Latinos, and black people. They're really showing their true colors, so to speak. Ha ha ha. Did you have something to say about that? I heard a blah, blah, blah. No? Okay. An episode at a plant in Baltimore manufacturing 2 coronavirus vaccines where workers accidentally conflated the ingredients could also increase anxiety. Up to 15 million doses of Johnson & Johnson's vaccines were contaminated in the mix-up, forcing regulators to delay authorization of the plant's production lines. Administration officials still expect to soon face the possibility of supply exceeding demand if many Americans remain reluctant to be vaccinated. With cases rising in some parts of the country again and variants spreading, that is so much fear-mongering. Getting as many people as possible vaccinated will be critical to containing the pandemic and allowing to return to a more normal way of life. Yeah, right. 275 organizations will participate in the administration's new public awareness push, including NASCAR, sold out, the Catholic Health Association of the United States, and the North American Meat Institute, that is aimed at communities where vaccine hesitancy remains high. Among the organizations are many Catholic and evangelical groups that are expected to help address religious concerns about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which uses aborted, derived fetal cell lines.
Aborted feces.
The group is collectively called the COVID-19 Community Corps, administration officials said, and why would they... COVID-19 Community Corps. Like, I get it, the corporations.
It's pronounced core.
Yeah, I know, but come on, man. Come on, man. It's the corpse. It's the dead people. It's the zombies.
I hear you.
And participating organizations are able to reach millions of Americans who trust those individual groups. That makes me angry. It's like they are deliberately admitting here that they're like, oh yeah, those Americans, they trust these groups, so let's use them to gain the trust to get the jab. Whoa. So I could help. Sorry, that was some video playing in the background. A new poll by Kaiser.
Was that Greta?
I don't know. Was that
Greta?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. A new poll by Kaiser Family Foundation, remember Kaiser, this week found that a number of black adults willing to be vaccinated has increased substantially since February, but 13% of respondents overall said that they would, quote, definitely not get a vaccine. Among Republicans and white evangelical Christians, almost 30% of each group said they would definitely not get a shot. Quote, data shows a very large movable middle, said John Bridgeland, the founder and chief executive of the COVID Collaborative, a bipartisan group of political and scientific leaders working on vaccine education. Quote, even though there's vaccine hesitancy among many subgroups within the population, and we are tracking this very closely, our numbers show we could reach herd immunity, so getting facts and information into the hands of millions of Americans is the job before us. Administration officials said their research showed the vaccine messaging from medical professionals and community leaders, rather than from celebrities or the president, was often more persuasive. Some neurolinguistic programming, some propaganda studies. I mean, this is, that's straight up telling you, like, hey, the propaganda from the celebrities and presidents, not effective. We need to mobilize medical professionals. Yes.
For them to be coming out, they're kind of giving away the sauce. They're kind of showing people how the sausage is made.
Well, yeah, I think at this point people are onto them. You know, they might as well just let it out there. Yeah. Quote: "We are not always the best messengers." Jen Psaki.
Circle back. But I'll have to circle back.
The White House press secretary said last month when speaking about vaccine hesitancy among conservatives. The full list of participating organizations include health professionals, scientists, community organizations, faith leaders, businesses, rural stakeholders, civil rights organizations, sports leagues and athletes. The Department of Health and Human Services is also joining the vaccine education effort with the release of frames with the slogan, quote, "Let's get vaccinated," that Facebook users can attach to their profile photographs. This is straight up propaganda. I mean, they're really telling the entire playbook here. I mean, it's just like, wow. Part of the challenge of persuading skeptical Americans are the personal and varied reasons for vaccine hesitancy. Quote, "I've got some pockets where they cite religious reasons with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine," said Shirley Bloomfield, chief executive of NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, who has been sharing with the White House what she hears from her group's members. Quote, "There are a lot of pockets where people have already had COVID in a sense of, well, we've already gotten it, so we're not really pressed. The advertisements are hopeful in tone and are intended as a call to action, saying that everyone can play a part in ending the pandemic by getting vaccinated." To press that point even more, the Department of Health and Human Services has separately bought a multi-million-dollar ad in Black and Spanish language media. Okay, what is Black language? Spanish is a separate language. Black and Spanish language media? Racist, as well as in outlets that reach Asian
That's
Americans.
Interesting. Yeah, that's crazy. What is Black language media? Is that like BET?
Ebonics? I don't know. Yeah, BET ads.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's crazy. I mean, are they doing? I mean, really though, it's funny. I'm not trying to make a joke, but like, what is that in the U.S.? I mean, there is, of course, African languages, but that's not necessarily a big market in the U.S. They are literally referring to like BET, like black television.
And BET is the only thing I can really think of that's a specific, like, black-focused channel, black entertainment television, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Are they going to have, like, I don't know. I have no idea. But we're included as well as in outlets that reach Asian American and tribal communities, reinforcing the message about the safety and efficacy of coronavirus vaccines. The administration, are we tribal? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The administration announced last week that it was allocating close to $10 billion to increase vaccine access and confidence in minority communities that have been hardest hit by the pandemic. Biden officials have been working with many of the groups involved in the COVID-19 community core since the presidential transition, but the formal rollout of a promotional campaign had to wait, they said, until the vaccine supply was at a level where people could quickly act on the information provided to them. And that's how the article ends. So literally here's the blueprint to how we are going to propagandize the people that are hesitant. And all I have to say is
mind control intensifies.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. They just come right out with it.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Well, we should keep moving for time's sake. Let's talk about some politics.
It's Latin for many. Tick. Now suck your blood. Now politics. Your blood.
I'm going to start out with just a quick one from MSN Newsweek. And just a very interesting.
Sorry, we lost you for a second there. It just all clogged up. I think you said a Newsweek story from MSN. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Let me try again here. So, yes, I'm going to start out with just a quick one from Newsweek. This is mirrored on MSN. And just notice the presentation of this article here. The headline is Gavin Newsom calls Orange County shooting horrifying and heartbreaking. Okay? Not like there was a horrible shooting and it's heartbreaking. No. This is a news story about how Gavin Newsom thinks the California Governor Gavin Newsom has expressed his support for families affected by a shooting in Southern California that left 4 people dead, including a child. Horrifying and heartbreaking. Our hearts are with the families impacted by this terrible tragedy tonight, Newsom said on Twitter. The incident took place at a business complex in Orange, California on Wednesday. 4 people were killed and another victim, a woman, was injured. A woman. So there's misogyny at play here. The suspect was also injured. Both the woman working to the hospital in critical condition. Lieutenant Jennifer Amat told MSNBC that a gun had been recovered from the scene, but offered no further details about the weapon. Police are working on establishing a motive for the shootings. The building where the incident took place reportedly contained several offices, but the name of the business.
Wow, the connection is so
the breaking
bad.
News story and will be updated.
Yeah, connection's really bad.
Well,
really
there's
bad
a lot of videos. Okay, let me clean up my tabs here. There was a couple of videos trying to play on that thing, but let me know if you got me back.
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's very choppy when you started reading some of those paragraphs there.
All right. Well, long story short, there was a whole article about how specifically Gavin Newsom thought the shooting was bad. And, it's just sick, of course, regarding his recall. They're doing as much as they can. He's, as we'll learn later, he's got a bunch of money, a bunch of support, a bunch of power behind him, trying to keep him in office. blitz over there, and that is the media blitz, so people can realize that he's just a kind, caring Democrat man, and he thinks shootings are bad, so we shouldn't recall him.
Yeah, what human, like, it would be more of a news story if it's more accurate, probably. If it's like Gavin Newsom doesn't think Orange County shooting with a dead child is horrifying and heartbreaking. That would be headlines. But like, Gavin Newsom saying is horrifying and heartbreaking. Like,
this is about a tweet.
What?
Duh. Yeah, right. Gavin Newsom tweets that shootings are bad. Breaking news. And that's how they end it, too. They're like, this is a breaking story. Breaking news. Gavin Newsom tweeted just kind of a basic human feeling.
Yeah. Well, we did get multiple millions of signatures to get this guy out of office here in California.
It's Newsom science, baby! Ha!
Bloomberg.com. In California, costly spectacle looms in bid to oust Newsom. And this is all it's gonna become is a battle of money. It says here, the effort to recall California Governor Gavin Newsom is shaping up to be an expensive national spectacle as unlimited fundraising and partisan interests converge in the most populous U.S. state. On one side are the state Republican Party and tycoons, including investor Chamath Palihapitiya, who are seeking to remove the ambitious Democrat amid anger over the pandemic and strict business shutdowns. Newsom comes armed. He's armed. Be afraid of Newsom. He's armed with a stash. He's got a stash of wealthy contributors. He just has them stashed.
Wow.
He sounds like a crazy dictator person, like, let me reach into my stash of contributors, wealthy contributors, and backing from prominent progressive figures such as Stacey Abrams and Elizabeth Warren. Oh, we're done, Basil. Stacey Abrams and Elizabeth Warren are in his corner. It's not looking good for the anti-Newsomers. Let me continue here.
Girl gang.
The battle to oust Newsom more than halfway through his first term marks a dramatic turn from a year ago when the governor enjoyed national recognition for his coronavirus response. Did he really? I don't know that he... Whatever. Him and Cuomo were, the superstars. In a state where ballot measures routinely shatter records as companies dish out millions of dollars to sway voters, almost $700 million in 2020 alone, a recall election in an era of hyper-partisan politics and social media scrutiny promises to be especially costly. Quote, with no fundraising limits, we could see $100 million or more being spent on each side of the recall with multiple serious candidates, said Rose Kapolzinski, a consultant who worked for Newsom's main Democratic rival, former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, in 2018. And by the way, one of his opponents, Chamath Palihapitiya, he's a billionaire, so he can easily drop one bill to fight this thing. Let's see. An election is not yet certain, but appears like based on the numbers of signatures gathered in support of the recall. If enough are verified, voters will face two questions. Should Newsom be removed? And if so, who should replace him? There's no cap on how much the governor and recall proponents can raise on the first part, while candidates running for the job are subject to limits. The election would likely come in November, according to California Target Book, which tracks state politics. That would be interesting because I think Chamath Palihapitiya said that he would try to run for governor. So I wonder if he can spend that billion as part of the campaign to get him out, but then he's limited on how much for him to run himself. That'll be interesting, kind of loopholes.
Right.
It would be the first gubernatorial recall since 2003 in which Gray Davis was removed and replaced by Hollywood superstar Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Republican that couldn't even pronounce the state that he was running for. I just added that. In a bizarre campaign that featured more than 130 candidates, including a porn star and a bounty hunter. And that was before Twitter and TikTok. That's right. California ahead of the game. Quote, "This is going to be an ongoing circus," said Ann Hyde Dunsmore, a campaign manager behind the recall. Hence the artwork of the show, which is Gavin Newsom in clown gear with the circus background there. While the recall campaign momentum grew after a maskless Newsom attended a swank Napa Valley dinner party for a lobbyist friend in November, while his administration told residents to eschew large holiday gatherings. It accelerated as California's virus outbreak intensified through the winter and spurred new lockdowns. While Newsom's approval rating have faltered since last year, he's still running ahead. If the elections were held today, 56% of likely voters in the heavily Democratic state said they oppose the recall, according to the nonpartisan Public Policy Institute of California poll released Tuesday. His job approval rating stood at 53%, about the same from a January survey, but California's quirks make it impossible for Newsom to take any lead for granted. A simple majority of yes votes on the first question on the ballot on whether he should be recalled will result in his ouster. Whoever wins the most votes on the second question on who should replace him, even if less than 50%, would become the next governor. And Newsom can't, by law, appear as a candidate for that. The threshold for his potential replacements to appear on the ballot remains low. Any registered voter able to garner 7,000 signatures or about $4,000 for a filing fee can run. Basil, my slumlord dreams can come true. 7,000 signatures and $4,000.
I love yeah, we could get $4,000 and 7,000 signatures.
Well, I think we can make it happen.
Let's do it.
7,000 verified in California might be rough, though. That's rough. And then people coming after me, getting into the political
California
realm.
is not necessarily our biggest demographic.
No. Move back, all you folks that went to Austin, just to vote for me. Several Republicans have already said they will run, and national Republicans have jumped into fundraising, with Mike Huckabee's Political Action Committee kicking in $100,000 for the recall drive. The Republican Governors Association started its own committee to collect contributions for the recall last month. Quote, "You can see we're going to raise the money because people are jumping in like crazy people. There's money talk flying all over the place," said Hyde Dunsmore, whose committee, along with another, has raised about $4 million for the recall. It's not a question of how much, it's going to be through what committee. After months of ignoring his opponents' momentum, Newsom finally launched a campaign last month when the last batch of signatures was due, appearing on national television shows to describe the recall as an attempt by Republicans to rally their base after President Donald Trump's defeat. That's dishonest. He basically called everybody doing the into the recall as QAnon supporters. Remember that? He was like, "This is just a Q thing," or maybe that was CNN. Major donors opposing the recall include
the categorization of anything anti-establishment as being a crazy right-wing extremist.
Right. I don't think we need to read much more of this. I mean, there's more information in here with the amount of money and that kind of thing, but I think we get the gist of it here. It's going to be a circus. We'll see what happens, but I think we have enough people to make at least the vote take place, and then it's just a matter of who's going to actually step in to replace him, which some people say careful what you ask for. We'll have to see. I don't really know if there is a good replacement out there, but at least this guy would be out, and I don't know. There's a glimmer of hope, but that the light at the end of the tunnel might just be a freight train coming my way.
Yeah, it's always a problem, getting out the guy you want out, and just leaves a power vacuum for somebody who, is just as equipped to run the thing into the ground. But that shouldn't stop from seeking justice.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, Gons, I've got an update on our I was going to joke and say our close personal friend
Wow, you're just, I don't even hear, you're glitching out so bad that you're not even making any sense. It just, all I hear is, yep.
Oh my gosh.
Close other things.
Tell me when I'm back. Am I back to regular?
A little bit, yeah.
I'm closing. Closing tabs. I don't have any more tabs to close. I've reached my limit.
Okay, well, I can kind of hear you.
Should we try reconnecting, maybe?
We could, if you want to. I mean, you said the download-upload speed was pretty abhorrent there, so...
True. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that you're able to get this much from me. My upload speed is like under 2 megabytes, so this is pretty impressive. I'm just going to go ahead and read this story and tell me if it stops.
Okay.
This is an update about Marjorie Taylor's Newsweek headline: over 5,000 Christians condemn Marjorie Taylor Greene for blasphemous and evil rhetoric. Okay, very interesting. Let's see what we got. More than 5,000 Christians have signed a petition condemning freshman Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Georgia Republican, for recent remarks she made related to the COVID-19 pandemic. A staunch supporter of President Donald Trump has drawn substantial controversy since her GOP primary campaign until the present. The Congresswoman has promoted a number of bizarre and baseless conspiracy theories and previously voiced her belief in QAnon groundless claims. Groundless, baseless. What other sort of
bottomless
terms can we
pit
think of? Somebody's got a great thesaurus over there at Newsweek. Even many top Republican lawmakers in Congress have condemned her. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Kentucky Republican, said in February that Greene is, quote, not living in reality, describing her beliefs as a cancer for the Republican Party. On Tuesday, Faithful America, which describes itself as the largest online community of Christians fighting for social justice, launched a petition, petitions flying everywhere, condemning Greene's recent comments related to the ongoing pandemic. The Christian organization and evil. As of the time of writing, more than 5,400 Christians had signed the petition. I'm curious, how do they know that they're all Christians? You know, somebody could just go on the site and, you know, claim anything they want. But anyways, they're pretty sure they're all Christians. Oops, and my tab has been destroyed. Uh-oh.
Do you want me to?
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, you got it.
I got it back here. Where was I? Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh.
In a viral tweet.
Oh my gosh. There we go. In a viral tweet and Facebook video, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, known for supporting QAnon conspiracy theories, recklessly told followers that being COVID-19 masks should be a choice. That's not even like that extreme. Just saying it should be a choice. And that vaccine passports are, quote, Biden's mark of the beast. We mentioned this last episode, but it turns out it was got her in a little bit of trouble. Faithful America explained Greene spokesperson has also confirmed that the Congresswoman does not plan to receive the vaccine. Blasphemy! Quote, and this is where it gets hilarious. Let's not mince words. Marjorie Taylor Greene is killing people.
Killing people!
Okay.
Killing people. She is...
I'm pretty sure... Let's not mince words. She's murdering people.
I'm pretty sure that's mincing
I think
words.
You are kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the definition. Then it goes on, twisting scripture to interfere with COVID-19 health measures. It's deadly. It's selfish and it's evil.
Yeah, I'm going to read that again because you cluttered up quite a bit. Twisting scripture to interfere with COVID-19 health measures isn't just blasphemous. It's deadly, it's selfish, and it's evil. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let me just finish up here.
And you hear is specifically when she said, okay. Oh,
sorry,
gosh,
it's just getting really bad. It's hard to communicate.
Yeah, okay.
Let me just finish up here with the quote, masks, vaccines, and public health guidelines save lives. Loving our neighbor by taking this pandemic seriously is no mark of the beast. And grassroots Christians cannot allow Greene's power-hungry anti-life message to kill our neighbors or represent our faith during Holy Week. It's really virtue signaling on multiple levels there.
Yeah. Well, if I don't know if I'm back or not, but yes, it is interesting how they're talking about twisting scripture, where she didn't quote scripture. She didn't do anything. She just said masks are a choice, and Biden's mark of the beast. And we broke apart this Biden's mark of the beast last episode. And, it's one thing to call it the mark of the beast. That's a very specific reference. But to call it Biden's mark of the beast is like it's doing more of like a analogous thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not the mark of the beast. Yeah, but it's Biden's mark of the beast, So, and then for them to come in and be like, she's twisting scripture. It's just, I mean, look, they can feel however they want about it, but it just isn't twisting scripture. She's just making an analogy between vaccines and Biden's version of a mark of the beast.
Right.
So, this is just, it gets really extreme, and there's not much to really delve into this except for, first of all, 5,000 people signing a petition. It isn't really that much.
It's up to 10,000. It's up to 10,000. They're trying to get to 15,000.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so they keep moving. But here's another, just to get a couple more quotes in here. This is from the group. As Christians, we follow Jesus Christ, a healer who calls us sick. Science shows us that the way to do that during this pandemic is to mask up, receive the first vaccine we can, and follow all public health guidance. I wish that Representative Greene's bogus talk of vaccine passports as Biden's mark of the beast could be laughed off. But by twisting scripture and abusing her public stature, she has managed to deceive far too many Americans into taking her dangerous conspiracy theories seriously. Representative Greene.
Oh boy, you're just sludging through
life.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like you're walking through 4 feet of snow. Just
did I not mention that? That's where I am. I'm in 4 feet of snow, trudging through a snowstorm as we speak. Well, I think we should move on then. We should thank some producers, and then if this doesn't get any better, I don't know, maybe
call. Well, we only have a couple stories left anyway on the other side of the break. I will say that this Faithful America website, the little subheader is "Love thy neighbor, no exceptions." Like, if you don't love your neighbor, then you're just an evil human. Oh, you're going to hell. So anyway, and also there was a story about Jimmy Kimmel. Basically, Mediaite.com. Jimmy Kimmel torches Klan mom. The same major. I still have problems saying her name. M. Taylor Greene and Ron DeSantis for vaccine passport. And actually, in the story here, she calls Marjorie Taylor Greene a Klan mom. And then says the mark of the beast. He says, how do you reach across the aisle when the other side thinks you have hooves? What a lame person. Everyone knows the mark of the beast is Zuckerberg. So, proof that Jimmy Kimmel listens to Canary Cry News Talk and knows the 4 horsemen of the technocalypse.
Jeez.
All right. We're moving.
That's true.
Moving into the break.
Yeah, calling her a hand mom, making her of demonizing people is pretty brutal.
It's bad. All right, we're going to go into a little break here.
All right. Let's take. Okay, let's take a break, folks. But don't go anywhere.
It was just such a long pause for you to catch up to the end of the jingle.
No. Well, maybe you should do most of the talking then, because if I'm just going to keep cutting out, there's no point.
Yeah, I'll give it a go here. Well, we want to thank our producers, and yes, the supporters of the show are called producers because if you are contributing with your time, talent, or treasure, you are producing the show, and we took the model from Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak of No Agenda. Adam Curry being the podfather. He's the co-inventor of the podcast, and he's came up with the value for value model to really get around all the censorship and the cancel culture. All that stuff comes because corporate media or the corporations themselves have control over what you say if they are sponsors. And Adam Curry has the famous quote, "Corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship." And a lot of the cancel culture stuff, that's what it is. It's the commercial corporations saying, hey, we don't agree with what you're saying there. And they yank advertising dollars, and therefore you're canceled. You cannot do what you do and make money anymore. And so we are, to proof yourselves or ourselves or anybody who wants to, from such a model, we decided to go with the value for value model of supporting the shows or supporting shows we love. And for this show as well. And so we as a result, if you do support with your time, talent, treasure, you are producers, and you can add producerships to your CV, your resume. You can say, hey, I'm a producer of Canary Cry News Talk, and you can even list the episodes that you've helped produce, and we will vouch for you if the employer comes knocking on our door and says, hey, is this legit? Does this person really produce a podcast? We will say, yes, these individuals do. And we want to start off. We have multiple ways that you can support the show. First off, we have patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, as well as patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And you're in luck, listeners, because we don't have anybody from either Patreon accounts, which is understandable because Patreon has not been the most friendly platform for they've also kind of gotten into the canceling side of things, getting a little crazy with banning people that don't align with their particular worldview. So we understand if you don't want to participate through the Patreon platform. But instead, if you choose not to, we also have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And if you go to canarycryradio.com/support, you will see multiple ways you can support us. You can do a one-time gift. You can subscribe to a monthly producership, and while we don't always mention all the names for the monthly subscribers, we do thank you. We appreciate it, and we could not do this without you. So, moving through here, we're going to get into the PayPal producers for episode 319. And I don't know, Basil, I'm gonna leave a little room to see if you want to say anything, to say thank you at least. But let's start off with producer Shield Labs.
Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs.
Hey, coming in nice and clear there. Shield Labs left us a note. What is the origin of the name Canary Cry?
Oh, yeah. Well, the order, let's see here. When we were first beginning Canary Cry Radio back in 2012, we had a couple brainstorming sessions. The basic concept is it comes from the analogy of the canary in the coal mine, where for those
We lost you.
No, back in the olden days of coal mining, miners. You lost me. Okay. Miners would bring a canary in a cage down into the mines, and if the canary died, then they knew there was some sort of dangerous gas.
Dangerous gas. Dangerous gas.
So.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, why don't you just do it?
Sorry. I wanted to see if it'll work, but it obviously having issues there. So yeah, it's a canary in the coal mine. That's really where we came up with the idea, and we were kind of brainstorming. And canary, what about canary? Oh, canary cry radio. Oh, sweet. So we went with that. It wasn't until a little bit later that we found out that there's I think it's Marvel, maybe it's DC. There's a character named Canary Cry in some superhero thing. Do you know which one that is, Basil? Is it Marvel?
Her name is Black Canary.
Oh, is it? Oh, she does. Oh, the Canary Cry is like her move or whatever, right? Where she screams.
Her name is Black. Yeah, she's got some superpower where she can scream and I don't know, kill bad guys. And that,
okay, people are saying
that's
DC.
Called the Canary Cry.
Oh, Suicide Squad. That's right.
Which is not too different from what we do. We basically do just scream into the void and then, take down the powers that be. So,
very true. Other people I've seen were 33 because Canary Cry C. We see CCR, CCNT. People say, "Oh, it's the third letter of the alphabet twice."
Yes.
33. We're shills. Number one, we didn't think of that when we created the name, and also. It's Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk, so it only kind of works if you want to you try to get all numerological on us. It doesn't fully work, but we understand your skepticism. But it's okay. Thank you, producer Shield Labs. We appreciate your consistent support. Next up, we have producer Julie S. And Julie S. came in with...
Thank you very much, Julie S. with the 33 Illuminati handler producership.
Yep. Next, we have producer Grace. We normally get artwork from producer Grace, but today we have her treasure. So thank you, producer Grace. Sorry, Basil. I say I'm going to leave space for you, and then I stomp all over you. Okay. Next up, producer Eduardo. Oh no, it must be really bad now because there was just pure silence and all I heard was blah, blah, blah. Next up, producer Eduardo D. Thank you, producer Eduardo D.
Thank you very much, producer Eduardo.
All right. Next, we have producer Ciara F.
Thank you very much, producer Ciara.
Okay. Let's see. Ciara has a note here. Will you ever read non-Apple podcast reviews? That's a question for you, Basil. I don't know if you can even hear me.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to work. But I will read non-Apple podcast reviews. I just don't know what leaving reviews. So if you're out there leaving reviews somewhere that are not on Apple Podcasts, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. I'd love to read other reviews. I just am not sure where to find them.
There you go. So maybe Spotify or Stitcher or something like that. Let us know, and we'll definitely include it in the reviews section. Thank you, Ciara, and thank you for the continued leading of the meetups. That's Ciara. I'm leading the meetups there. Next up, producer Jeremy F.
Thank you very much, producer Jeremy.
And I think Jeremy is the executive producer for episode 319, so you can put that in your resume. And, I guess we have another one from Shield Labs. Producer Shield Labs again?
Yep. Thank you very much. Producer Shield Labs says, sounds like Basil has been replaced with the podcast AI robot. Googluminati confirmed.
Googluminati confirmed, yep. Or it just sounds like you're on AOL.com.
Yeah, before we go on too much, let's try to reconnect the Skype. Maybe refreshing our connection will help.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hang up on you. All right, hanging up on Basil. See if he'll call back here. Hello? Hello?
Hello. Check, check.
Check, check.
Is this any better?
Maybe. We'll see. A lot of silence.
Okay. Give it a try.
Give it a try.
Dang it. It's gotten so bad. I'm so sad. Dude, you might have to finish this out on your own because it's not adding to the value of the show to have it this bad.
To have glitchy Basil in the background just stuttering. I don't know. This is so good. Okay, we'll just continue on here. I'll just have you there, and then if you can chime in at any point, I'll ask for it. We do want to thank our knights and dames. If you go to canarycryradio.com/knighthood, you can read about what that is all about. You can also support us with cryptocurrencies. It's canarycryradio.com/crypto. And today we did receive 298,832 Satoshis. So we're very grateful for that. Whoever sent that, I don't think we got a note to indicate who we received that from yet. Let me double check. Yeah, nothing yet. So whoever sent the Bitcoin there, a little bit of Bitcoin, thank you. Appreciate it. Also, Jade Bouncerson continues to do the timestamps. Thank you so much for that. If you want to send us snail mail, check. Some people have sent us cash, which is pretty risky, but hey, if you want to throw some cash in an envelope and send it our way, you can do so. You can get the snail mail address at canarycryradio.com/support. And the other ways you can support the show is with your time and talent. We accept jingles and ISOs that are show relevant that we can use on the show. And we don't have any today, but we do have a couple pieces of art. And where's my art jingle? Here it is.
One art, please.
And the first piece we have to share is from producer Tim T. Tim. And he sent us this video of a... I don't know where he was. He's trying to order some food. Maybe he was at a Chipotle or something. They were giving away burritos and Bitcoin yesterday. But producer Tim T sent us a note. He sent it to Basil. He said, Basil, you look pretty good in a suit and tie. I won't mention the website or restaurant name in case that would be bad, but they sell tacos and the logo is a little red cartoon devil. Actually don't know what that would be. Maybe somebody in the chat would know. Yes, we did get this, by the way. And grace and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. So thank you, producer Tim T. And yeah, it's interesting because it's one of those, it's a short video and he's moving his mouse around and the googly eyes tracks the mouse. Kind of like how Basil's googly eyes tracks your every move. Basil, any thoughts on, is this you in the burrito website?
Yep, you found me. It's my secret identity.
Okay. Yeah, it's maybe an older version of Basil. It's a little older on the identity there, but it's good effort. Good effort. Maybe this is the version of Basil from the future. So thank you for that, producer Tim T. And next up, we have a piece of art from producer Ali. And let me see here. The note from Ali here. Basil's cactus oven mitt, while successfully preventing burns, does have its drawbacks. It's a picture of Basil, super swole, his black tank top, with his VR goggles on, and it says, needs bacon. And he's holding a pizza that looks like it's fresh out of the oven with his cactus mitts. And the spikes on the cactus are poking through the pizza, which is a problem. Any thoughts, Basil?
A poor pizza.
The poor pizza. I feel like I'm talking to the Cyborg AI. You know, you got to like ask them a question and then wait like 10 seconds for them to type up their answers and then robotically deliver it for everybody to hear.
Yeah. You got for my cybernetic brain machine interface to connect to my net.
Yeah. And lastly, this is more of a screenshot, but we did receive a picture from... Who was this from? Sorry. Producer Jack V. He said, Basil Echo from Overwatch has your eyes. What could this mean? And I haven't been playing Overwatch, so I don't really keep up with it. But apparently one of the characters named Echo, I guess, has googly eyes, but also a crescent moon and a star on the forehead. I don't know what's going on with this one. Anything?
Illuminati confirmed.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's it for the producers for today. Sorry about the little choppiness. We're going to save the reviews of the iTunes reviews, or it's not iTunes anymore, Apple Podcast reviews till next week. And if you send us a note where you've left reviews, we can include it when Basil has a little bit of a better connection there. So let's wake up from the break, and then we'll get through the end of the show here. We're going to keep it a little bit shorter today.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And we have a few updates from the Beast system.
Speaking of the Beast system, Beast system.
This first one is from Sportico.com. Croatian tennis player sells ad space for an arm and a NFT. NFTs being non-fungible tokens. We've talked a little bit about it before. And it says here, like so many athletes, Croatian tennis player Aleksandra Olinikova is getting into non-fungible tokens, NFTs. But while her peers are selling digital collectibles, the 20-year-old has literal skin in the game. 6 days after putting it up for auction on the popular NFT marketplace OpenSea, Olinikova sold exclusive lifetime ownership of part of her right arm for more than $5,000. I don't know about you, Basil, but $5,000 would not be enough money to sell some real estate from my body. Okay. The concept is not entirely new. Temporary tattoo...
You know, it's a tough...
Yep, it's tough. Yep, tough. The concept is not entirely new. Temporary tattoos, or so-called body billboards, were a trend in the early 2000s among certain groups of athletes. Beach volleyball players, skateboarders, and boxers, most notably Bernard Hopkins, earning them anywhere between $5,000 to $100,000. Olinikova is now reintroducing a potentially permanent version of the concept digitally tied to fluctuating cryptocurrencies and blockchain. OpenSea buyers use the Ethereum blockchain and its cryptocurrency, which is similar to Bitcoin. The tennis professional's NFTs sold for 3 Ether, the equivalent of about $5,415 on the day it sold. Olinikova, who ranks 30th in the international tennis, blah, 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 about her tennis stuff, specifically sold a section of skin between her elbow and shoulder on the inside of her right arm, where the owner can commission a tattoo or temporary body art. The sales pitch: the right-handed player can be your human advertisement. Quote, I will bring your art object or message to every tennis court I play, Olinikova wrote in the listing. Quote, I'm a 20-year-old only and my sports career is on the rise. I believe it's going to be the biggest tennis locations in the world. Okay. Oleinikova plays on the ITF Women's World Tennis Tour, which provides entry and mid-level professional tournaments. Blah, blah, blah. The owner of this 6-inch by 3-inch... Ooh, 666, 6-inch by 3-inch. Interesting. Patch is an OpenSea user named Jump High, with whom Oleinikova has only communicated via online messages since the sale. The person can use the space for any ink of their choosing, the tennis pro said. There are only a few restrictions to the purchase, including no art or messaging that includes extremism or gambling or betting-related content, as to not violate tennis regulations. And I'm wondering if we purchase some NFTs of some celebrity body parts, Basil, and we put the Canary Cry News Talk logo on there for them to advertise our show, is that considered extremism?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The new commission would join the 9 tattoos Oleinikova already has. The first, a tribal cat. Ooh, she's got a tribal cat, Basil. Inked 4 years ago, and then junior player won her first event. Just her other stuff. The owner can also leave the patch of skin blank or resell it later, potentially at a higher price. Oleinikova told Sportico she believes there would be, quote, at least 100x return on her NFT, which she calls, quote, an extremely smart investment if someone did choose to sell in the future. This is the first NFT of its kind ever created and sold, Oleinikova said, which I don't think is true. I remember in 2018 or 19, some guy was basically selling every inch of his body as an NFT, but he wasn't a famous athlete, so he didn't get the kind of press that she's getting here. Any case, I don't have to read the rest of it here. Basically, the idea is using the whole idea of an NFT, non-fungible token. We've talked about it a little bit before. It's all the craze right now. It's a little overhyped, I think. It's the same thing, a similar thing as licensing is now, and certainly it's different in that a lot of it is transparent. You don't need a middleman to administer it, but anybody who owns the private keys to that NFT has ownership rights. And for this example, she basically this athlete sold part of her body, and it speaks a little bit into the Revelation 13 concept of a mark of the beast in a sense, because if the Antichrist, man of sin, and the false prophet really that administers the mark of the beast is able to claim ownership over you with a mark, a symbol that goes on the forehead or the right hand. It's very similar if you're talking about having that identification immutable on a blockchain ledger for all to verify digitally. So it's something interesting, especially when it gets into body art and body real estate, connecting to the digital realm. Any thoughts, Basil, if you're still there?
No.
Okay. You sound so defeated. I feel so bad. You just sound so down in the dumps.
I'm a little sad, but we're gonna make it through this.
Okay.
Mind control intensifies.
I was hoping you'd read this story just because it's interesting. But this is news.com.au.
I can give it a try.
And give it a try. It seems like there's a little less of a delay going on right now. Maybe not.
I've been saving up my bandwidth.
Okay.
Saving my pace. All right, this is coming from news.com.au. The headline is CEO of Mattress Company, Holstens, used mind control on staff, lawsuit claims. A Swedish mattress maker to the stars is led by a kooky CEO who hires employees based on their vibrations and underlings to obscene training videos, a new lawsuit alleges. Chief Executive Jan Ride has effectively turned his bizarre beliefs into company policy at Holstens, whose iconic beds fetch as much as $400,000 and are owned by the likes of Tom Cruise and Angelina Jolie, Vladimir Putin, and Swedish royal family, court papers say. Mr. Ride, the fifth family to run the firm, pressures workers to attend mindset training sessions while keeping his personal hypnotist on the payroll to evaluate employees' enlightenment levels, according to the federal lawsuit that accuses him of creating a hostile work environment. Lisandra Vega, the former Holston's executive recruiter who filed the suit on Wednesday in Manhattan federal court, claims she was forced to follow a mishmash of metaphysical philosophies to evaluate job candidates instead of looking to their skills or work experience. Among them were spiral dynamics and the scale of enlightenment, which evaluates people based on their vibrations and frequency, the suit says. Shockingly, as part of her job, Miss Vega was subjected to this barrage of orchestrated belief systems that was meant to and did in fact impact the way she thought and approached all aspects of her life, not simply executive recruitment, the lawsuit reads. Quote, such mind control is akin to forced religious doctrine and has no lawful place in any work environment. Mr. Ride's right-hand man, Gregory Downey, who has, quote, increasingly outsized influence over executive decision-making, allegedly training sections on vaguely spiritual topics like intention mapping or self-reflection. Did you lose me?
Yeah, I kind of skipped through that paragraph there, but it's not the worst, I guess.
More New Age nonsense.
Yeah.
While Holston's claimed these sessions are only recommended, they were essentially mandatory because Mr. Ride attended at least one a day and tracked who else was there, the complaint claims. Despite his strange beliefs, Mr. Ride was a punishing boss who's prone to cursing out subordinates on Zoom calls and making inappropriate remarks, like his repeated claim that Russian ruler Vladimir Putin now kills less people because he brought Holston's bed, the complaint alleges. Well,
that's good. That's good marketing there.
Somebody, yeah, maybe we should get one for Biden.
Oh.
The last straw was Miss Vega, who was a lewd sales training video that Mr. Ride sent to more than a dozen senior staffers in November. The 15-minute clip contained footage of lions killing live prey, whom the narrator compared to salespeople while making copious use of the F word and sexually explicit language, according to the suit. The narrator also states that the male lion had to jump in to hunt because he got tired of waiting for the female lion that he referred to as a B word to do it. The suit says, while watching the video, Miss Vega shook uncontrollably, the complaint reads. Miss Vega was one of several employees who complained to Holston's higher-ups about the salacious video, which Mr. Ride flippantly described as containing grown-up language. This says the suit. Mr. Ride can continue, then excluded her from emails before she was demoted and then fired in January, which she says was retaliation for her complaints. Ms. Vega's lawsuit seeks a court ruling declaring Holston's and Mr. Ride's practices illegal, as well as unspecified amount of money damages to be determined at trial. Holston's did not immediately for comment on Wednesday. Wow, this is taking it to a whole nother level. And it's always these weird new agey type of companies that include a lot of brainwashing. Man, $500,000 for a mattress. That must be a pretty good mattress.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, people like Tom Cruise, Angelina Jolie, I mean, your clientele, Vladimir Putin, your clientele is definitely the upper echelon. And it's interesting because I thought, at first I thought like, hey, listeners to Canary Cry News Talk and, you know, people that have viewed Face Like the Sun for a while, they can probably work at a company like this and kind of stay undercover in a sense. Just use the language, you know, like, oh, my green spiritual aura is emanating today, and I hope you can see it, Mr. Ride. You know, that kind of nonsense to keep your job. But then, you know, if they're showing crude videos of lions and doing stuff like that, it's not something anyone needs to endure to keep a job. But yep, $500,000 mattress, mind control mattress.
Mind control intensifies.
That's how they get you.
Yep. Okay, a couple more stories and then we're out of here. This one is very quick. Times of Israel. Microsoft reportedly seeking to invest over $1 billion in Israel. $1 billion. U.S. tech giant Microsoft is reportedly planning to invest $1 billion to $1.5 billion in Israel through setting up a new data center locally and expanding its chip research and development activities. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella spoke to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier this month and informed him about the plans, Globes reported on Monday, without saying where it got the information. Nadella told Netanyahu that Israel is, quote, a very important development center for Microsoft, Globes said, stating that the CEO has made no request for government incentives for the investments and none were offered. Spokespeople for Microsoft in Israel and for the Prime Minister's office declined to comment on the report. Microsoft benefits from the low tax rate of 6% on profits from the intellectual property generated in Israel, lower than the average corporate tax rate of 23%. Small tech firms pay a tax rate of 7.5 to 12%, Globe said. The U.S. tech giant said last year that it would set up its first data cloud center in Israel to offer services to Israeli customers, starting with Azure and following with Office 365, expecting to be operational sometime this year. And, it's just Microsoft spreading their tentacles ever more and into Israel, which has all kinds of prophetic significance. But between Microsoft's patent number 060606, the biometric crypto mining technology that was released, or at least the patents released last year, and Microsoft giving 120,000 VR headsets to the military, and now $1 billion to $1.5 billion to Israel. I don't know, man. Microsoft might be one of the beasts discussed in Revelation 13. Just my hunch. Not saying it is. Not twisting scripture.
No kidding.
Just saying. It's pretty wild. Okay, let's wrap it up with a witchcraft story.
This girl must be practicing witchcraft.
And this is from reviewjournal.com. Headline: Practicing witchcraft leads to arson arrest. And the story, a transient who has been arrested or cited at least 40 times in the Las Vegas Valley in the last 8 years is now charged with first-degree arson after police say he started a fire at the Northeast Valley department store while, quote, practicing witchcraft.
This girl must be practicing witchcraft.
Poor boy. Bruno Nidrara, 33 years old, was arrested Sunday after a fire broke out at Kohl's, 1300 South Nellis Boulevard near East Charleston Boulevard. Las Vegas police said in an arrest report. The police and Clark County firefighters were called to the store at 2:30 p.m. for a blaze in a large trash compactor connected to the store. There were customers and employees in the store at the time. That's crazy. A store employee said the person who started the fire was seen walking away from the scene in the direction of a nearby pedestrian bridge. Police said an officer and employee headed that way, then found Nia Drower at a small camp made out of wooden boards. The store employee identified Nia Drower as the fire starter, police said. Nia Dyer, according to police, told the officer he, quote, had a fire and got it out of control. Quote, Bruno said he lit a notebook on fire so he could draw a flame from the notebook in order to practice witchcraft, police wrote in a report. Niederauer told police he drew the burning notebook on the ground outside the store, but the flames spread to some trash. He fled the scene while he couldn't put the fire out. Quote, as the fire grew larger, Bruno left the area in fear he would be in trouble for starting the fire, police said. Las Vegas Justice Court records show dozens of arrests or citations for Nia Drauer since 2013, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, this guy tried to, 33 years old. Don't mess with the Death Note book to practice witchcraft. Could set a whole thing on fire and get you arrested for arson.
Nerd.
And that will do it for this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Oh, I feel like you're there, but you're not there. It's a very weird feeling.
Yeah. I can't wait to get home, get back to the studio.
Yeah, this was pretty brutal. I feel bad for our listeners.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. This isn't... Don't judge us. Don't judge us on this. We'll be back to normal on Monday. Thanks for sticking through.
Yeah, this would be a bad first episode for anybody tuning in. But if you made it this far, then I guess you're hooked.
If made it this far, yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Are you going to try to wrap us out? Yeah, try. Go for it.
I can try. Okay, here we go. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We will be back on Monday. That's going to be April 5th. April 5th. Put it on your calendar. Make sure to hit subscribe. And, yeah, we'll see you on Monday around the same time. And I'll be back in the studio, so we'll be back to our normally scheduled quality. But other than that, remember to follow us on multiple locations. Very important. Subscribe to the podcast feed, where there will not be as many of these horrible distractions. But other than that, I want to thank all of our producers for this episode 319 of Canary Cry News Talk. That's producer Shield Labs, producer Julie, Grace, Eduardo, Ciara, Jeremy, and of course, I'm a crypto producer. And as always, thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps and all of our artists. We couldn't do the show without all of y'all, and we'll need more producers on April 5th. So if you've been thinking about it, please consider becoming a producer of the show and join us in a rebellion against the corporate stranglehold that is the advertising industry is around, especially independent media producers like ourselves. You can do that by heading to patreon.com/CCNT, or even better, canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And I will be reading ratings and reviews next week, where I can actually give them the attention that they deserve. So make sure to head to Apple Podcasts, search out Canary Cry News Talk, and leave a rating and a review. Very, very important. And lastly, if you have not done so yet, please tell somebody about the show. Share it on your social media. And even better, you got friends and family who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And you can help them out by sending them an episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Not this one. Don't send them this one. Send them a different one. And they're enjoy it very, very much. We like to call it rattling cages. And if you need any other instructions, here's what you do. Walk right up to you by the cage and then you shake it.
Blah, 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 blah.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Sons, any last?
I'm assuming you asked me if I have any last words, and I will say that John 11:25-26, Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will have everlasting life. Paraphrased for the sake of Basil's glitchy cyborg voice.
All right, folks. Well, remember, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in on Monday. But until then, think outside the cage.
Think outside the cage.
Think outside the cage.
Even woke?
Think outside the cage.
They are scum. It's true. Shoo, hallelujah. They are scum. Aliens.
Come on, man. Keep yapping, man. Boy, it's really a productive segment, man.
Aborted feces. Aborted feces.
Everybody loves waffles. Aliens.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. People's zoo.